Welcome back to the final week of Drive for History. This week we're firing up some of the rarest and most significant machines here inside Wheels Through Time Museum. Today we're standing right in front of the 1909 Reading Standard factory racing machine. This bike is 111 years old and as rare as they come. Reading Standard started producing motorcycles in 1903. Produced high-quality machines right through about 1922 before going out of business. Slogan was tested in the hills: quality, quality, quality out of Reading Standard motorcycles. Actually, the first motorcycle to ascend Pikes Peak was a Reading Standard machine. So 1909, Ray Seymour, famous board track racer, actually set a 1-mile speed record at the Los Angeles Coliseum, 76 miles per hour. So if you can imagine going 76 miles per hour on a machine like this, skinny little 2-inch tires, absolutely flying. Now, this machine, it's as intricate of an early American racing bike as there is anywhere in the world. You'd be hard pressed to find a more advanced racing motorcycle, period, of this age. So 111 years old. Absolutely incredible motorcycle. Now, while the racing history of this machine early on is undocumented, its history over the past 80 years is very well known. This bike was actually donated to the Henry Ford Museum in 1944. There's actually a file photo. This was acquired from the Ford Museum, 1944, January 17th. And this is the machine as it sat when it was donated. So you can see it's missing the chains, it was missing the carburetor, still in remarkably complete and original condition. Now, the bike was donated by a Mr. F.W. Thomas from Pasadena, California. It's unknown exactly where Mr. Thomas acquired the motorcycle. Donated to the Henry Ford Museum there in 1942, or 44, excuse me, whereupon the Ford Museum actually lost it in their basement for over 40 years. So as it would be, the machine would come up for silent auction in Hemmings Motor News, which is where my dad learned about the motorcycle. And right here, there's actually a letter from the Ford Museum. And it states Henry Ford Racing Motorcycle was donated to the Henry Ford Museum in 1944 by Mr. Thomas. Didn't have the carburetor chains, however, it had the handlebars. Motorcycle arrived at the museum, was stored in the basement and forgotten about again for 40 years. Here's a photo of the machine after it was discovered. Now, my dad received a phone call from a good friend of his, Mr. Daniel Statnikoff. Daniel is one of the premier historians when it comes to board track racing motorcycles. Daniel proposed an interesting deal for my dad that they would partner on the machine. I think the two both knew how bad each of them wanted it, and the only way it wasn't going to go sky high in price was for the two to partner. So Daniel and my dad partnered on this machine. One of the best decisions that they both ever made. So this motorcycle, when it came to Wheels Through Time, was in this condition. So this is a photo of the machine after it was purchased at auction in maybe 1992 or 93. Oddly enough, if this bike was found in this condition today, it likely would have been conserved as opposed to restored. So, as you can imagine, times have changed. There was a period where just about anything got restored. Nicks in the paint, little chips, small issues, restore the whole entire motorcycle. The machine, had it been found in this condition today, likely would have stayed the same. Now, that being said, when my dad got the machine, he immediately sent it out to Steve Hunsinger. Steve Hunsinger is one of the premier early American racing motorcycle restorers in the world. Absolutely incredible fabrication guy, attention to detail like no other, and has the ability to make these machines run just like they ran when they were brand new. Steve restored this motorcycle to 100-point condition. The bike was one of the first motorcycles to be judged 100 points on the AMCA judging scale, and would subsequently be a Pebble Beach winner at the famed Pebble Beach Auto Classic. So one of few motorcycles to ever win a Pebble Beach trophy. So this machine, as I was mentioning earlier, it's advanced of a motorcycle as there was during this time period. 1000 cc, pocket valve. Now, most machines of this era are still operating with atmospheric intake valves, as you can see over on the other side. This machine has standard, or I shouldn't say standard, it was far advanced for its time, mechanical intake valves with the push rods and rocker arms. You can actually see this machine as it spins, the intake valves going up and down, exhaust valves going up and down. One of the other features that makes this bike incredibly advanced for its time, and something that probably lent quite heavily to setting the speed record in 1909. The cylinders actually have holes in the base of the cylinders. This is what we call base porting. And you can see that piston moving up and down. Okay, so the purpose behind the base porting was kind of threefold. Firstly, I call it a primitive form of supercharging. So as this machine is on the intake stroke, okay, and if you're watching that front piston, and that front piston starts coming down, 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 right at the top, right about there, you see the top of the piston, and it pulls a cold air charge into the cylinder, rounds the corner. Both valves are closed and they're on the compression stroke here, so it's a little bit added, or simulates added compression, cold air charge, very much like supercharging. It's not forced induction, but it's induction in excess of what the carburetor itself could flow. So secondly, also serves as crankcase pressure relief. So when the piston's on the way down, it actually can allow positive crankcase pressure to be displaced, and it also acts as a little bit of exhaust on the exhaust stroke. When this machine's running, it shoots out these flame spikes right out of each of these ports. It's one of the most incredible things you've ever seen. Hopefully we can get there in just a few short minutes. Now this machine, it's a throttleless motorcycle. So over on the right side, not a standard throttle like a standard Harley Davidson or Indian of the time. This is actually set up to operate the spark advance and the decompression. So you guys may have heard us talk about decompressors before. A decompressor actually lifts the exhaust valves. So you can see right down here these exhaust valves lifting up. That's how you kill the engine without using the kill switch. It's also how many of these machines were roll started, so it's a push start. You hold that decompressor, allow the machine to build up some speed in the flywheels. Without fighting that compression, you drop the decompressor and it's like bumping it off. So over on the other side, you've actually, instead of spark advance, since the spark advance is hooked up with the decompressor over on the right-hand throttle grip, they use the left-hand throttle grip for an oil pump. So great idea. It's the only machine I've ever seen like this. And, you know, these machines, total loss oil systems. They didn't circulate oil down to the engine and back. Oil was manually drip fed down to the bottom or driven by a small gear feed system. So it's probably better to use the word feed system than the word pump. Pump implies pressure, not any pressure. It's more of a volume feed system. So as you can imagine, pulling your hand off the handlebar to utilize the hand oil pump to give it more oil, incredibly difficult on these tiny little tires on a short little board track going 90 miles an hour. So they actually set this one up to just operate right here off the left hand grip. So incredibly cool stuff. We're going to be pulling this bike off of the table here right now. We've got Andy and Chris on hand. They're going to help us lift this thing off, and we're going to put some gas and oil in this motorcycle, and hopefully she roars to life for the first time in years. So we're going to pull it off our way. Andy, if you want to hang with Chris in the back, I can come up front here, lift that stand so we don't scratch the table. Yep. Come on down. All right. So what we'll do is we'll roll it off the stand there, and that stand can probably just drag. Oh, nope. Let's just lift it up. Come on this way. We'll just pick the wheel up. Yep. Let off the stand, Chris. Yeah, there you go. Ready? Here, help him out, Chris. Heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. All right. Pull her back a little bit, just some. Okay, guys, 1909, 1000cc supercharged factory racing machine. This bike, believe it or not, is among the loudest motorcycles here in Wheels Through Time Museum. We're gonna fire it up and listen to it go in just a short minute. We're gonna add a little bit of oil to the tank. .50 weight racing oil, pretty standard for back then. And then a little bit of no ethanol gasoline. Now, back in the day, these machines were designed to run on 40, 50, 60 octane fuel. Now that we've got fuel in the high 80s, 90 octane fuel, modify the timing a little bit, and it runs very much like it would have run back in its day. So pedal start machine, no brakes, no clutch. So if you can imagine being wide open with a throttleless carburetor on a motorcycle with no brakes and no clutch and just a kill switch, you'd have had to have guts like you can't believe. And we're going to see what we can do to make her go here and make some noise for you guys. I think that should do it. You got a flashlight? See how much we got in there? Oh, that's perfect. Good stuff. Okay. Now, I haven't heard this bike run in at least 10 years. It's been run once or so in maybe the last 5 years. It's rare that this machine comes off the table. When you're here at Wheels Through Time and you come right through the entrance doors into our main gallery, it's one of the first motorcycles you see. Looks more like a well-made watch than a motorcycle, and runs like one also. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that things operate like they should. So we're going to give it a burst of oil or two. 1, 2. I'm going to turn the fuel petcock on. Tickle the carburetor just a little bit. Now what we're doing is we're kind of overfloating the carburetor and we're dripping. Okay. We should be ready to run. Okay, here we are. All right, here we go, guys. Give it one more, a little more air, and some throttle. Here we go. Woo, there we are. All right, we're close, guys. What a noise. Absolutely incredible. Once in a lifetime experience to hear one of these motorcycles run like this. Again, 111 mile an hour racing motorcycle. Oh goodness, I'm out of breath and I didn't even do anything. Just sounds absolutely amazing. Shooting spikes out of the base of the cylinders. I'm just speechless, guys. What an amazing motorcycle. Thanks for tuning in on the Drive for History. We got all sorts more great machines this week to fire up for you. If you're enjoying what you see, make sure you check out driveforhistory.com, wheelsthroughtime.com. Check out our annual raffle. Of course, our lifetime membership, the whole wall behind us, guys. Lifetime members are what make this museum possible. Thanks for doing everything that you do. As you can tell, I'm out of breath. My adrenaline's pumping 100 miles an hour. It's an incredible experience, and we'll see you tomorrow.